This is Richard Wolff from Democracy at Work, responding to another Ask Prof. Wolff question from our Patreon community. And this question comes from Dan Teston. And I want to talk about this question because it affects so much of what we hear in the way of economics and politics and policy. Dan's question focuses on the work of the Senator Rand Paul. And he's an excellent example, a bit more extreme than most of these formulations, a bit more cut loose even from the normal levels of reality that these folks come from, but nonetheless a good target for us to focus on. And what is Dan interested in? Well, in this case, Rand Paul was talking about President Biden's $3.5 trillion infrastructure upgrading proposal. And he made the same argument he makes all the time. It really doesn't matter what the topic is. He is a conservative Republican, but he likes to add an adjective to that. Libertarian conservative Republican. And what this seems to mean, what he seems to want to conserve, is a libertarian principle. And since we have limited time and I have limited patience, I'm not going to be too polite here. What the project of the libertarian conservatives is simply explained. Every time capitalism does something difficult, painful, unfair, grotesque, unjust, you name it, these folks arrive on the scene, usually within minutes, to explain to all of us that the cause of the problem, the driver of the problem, the evil behind the problem is, get ready, the government. That's right. These are the people who specialize in tracing everything that's bad back to the government and praising everything that's good as the result of the non-government. In economics, it's the private sector, the business community, but often their language is quoted and set up as the evil government versus all the rest of us. You know, you and me as employees, side by side with the folks who are employers, because the difference and the tensions and the conflicts between employers and employees is not where the conservative libertarians want you to go with your thinking when there's a problem. No. They want you to stay with the difference between the government and all the rest of us. We are private citizens, and therefore what we do is good, productive, prosperous, and all the rest. And what the government does is evil, bad, destructive, you name it. This is doing the dirty work of the employer class. I wish I could say that the employer class paid them well for this dirty work, and indeed some of them are paid well. But an awful lot of them do it for free because they believe what they're saying. They want the government to be the whipping boy, the one you punish. Let me give you some examples. Unemployment comes to an area. People are suffering. Jobs have been lost. Family budgets have been hurt by the lost jobs, and so on. In come the conservative libertarians to tell you that the job loss that's hurting you was because of this or that or the other government program. If it weren't for the government program, of course, then the lovely employer would never have fired you. He would have loved you and kept you. Notice, The people who fire you when you lose a job are called employers. They're the ones that tell you not to come back Monday morning. It's the job of the libertarian conservative to take your upset, your resentment, your sadness, your bitterness, your anger, and focus them anywhere else but at the employer who actually fired you. Focus it on somewhere else. That's their job. Here's another example. Prices of milk and bread are going up more than your wages are, and so you're kind of falling behind. You're not able to afford what you used to be able to provide to your family. We call that an inflation when prices rise like that. And so that's a problem that the capitalist system has dumped on you. Oh no, in come the conservative libertarians to tell you, no. Yeah, there's an inflation, but the employer isn't to blame. Oh no, it's a government, and then they'll figure some program, some policy, some bad politician is doing it to us again. No matter what the issue is, and I could give you as many examples as the next 25 hours would allow us. But I don't want you to get lost in the weeds of the examples. It's the important understanding. The job of the conservative libertarian is to make sure that every problem capitalism has and offloads onto the working class leads the working class to blame somebody other than the capitalist system. Because that's what conservative libertarianism is there to preserve at all costs. Is this a celebration of the government? Of course not. Do governments do bad things? All the time. But let me leave you with this thought. Why do you think private enterprise in America spends a fortune of money maintaining an army of lobbyists, not just in Washington, but in every one of the 50 state capitals, working night and day, huge offices of highly paid professionals whose job it is to make the law bend a little this way, add this paragraph, that clause? Why are they there shaping what the government does? Answer: because they want the government to take care of them, which it does. So when you do what the conservative libertarian wants you to do, get angry at the government, add the obvious question that the conservative libertarians don't. Why, if the government is doing something genuinely bad and not just being bad-mouthed, why is it doing that? And here's what you'll discover. For everything our government does, there's an army of private capitalist enterprise agents there to make the government do exactly that. This is Richard Wolff for Democracy at Work.